in some ways, for me, I had left behind pieces of myself that I needed to gather again so that I could return to myself in a fresh way and create something new. Welcome, luscious lords and ladies of Tarot Tube. April here on Tarot and Witchery. And this is my July and August retrospective. You may have noticed that I did not do a July favorites last month. It just wasn't in the cards for me. A lot of things weren't in the cards for me last month. So this is going to be a catch up for all of you. And if you're new here, welcome. I just want to let you know that this is my retrospective, and the way I do this is I talk about the things that I love, my experiences, my personal growth, and I kind of translate those into tarot cards, and I'll kind of tell you how I'm sort of relating to my life in tarot. Okay, that being said, I want to let you know that there are timestamps down below because this is going to be a little bit longer and maybe a bit rambly. So you may want to do this in 2 sittings or again, do something, but I am going to put up a lot of pictures this time around because I collect a lot of photos and lots of footage during this time. So lots of stuff happened on the farm. It's been beautiful here. I went a bunch of wonderful places and it was gorgeous, and I'll talk about that. And I had some amazing experiences that I can't wait to share with you. But before we jump into it, I just want to do a little bit of announcements here and let you know that my channelversary, yay, is on Monday. That will be alive on my channel here. That'll be Monday. So I will see you there, and I'm going to give away 2 things during that time. The first one being this cute tarot bag that I made that is super fun, that has this great little charm on it, and I'll show you more at the live. You don't have to be at the live to win. You just need to watch it, and then I'll tell you how you can enter on there. The second thing I'm giving away is a free pass to my course that I am launching in October 1st. It's called The Tapestry of Your Heritage, Pulling on Your Ancestral Threads. I'm really excited about this. I've been wanting to do a course, and I finally came to the conclusion that I didn't want to do something that was just tarot and oracle only, but had some magical aspects to it. But I will say this, that it is not based on any religion. You can plug your own religion into it or your own spiritual practice into it. And it is really about working with ancestral energies, pulling on the power of our ancestors and what they gifted to us through their life here on earth, and how we can kind of integrate that during that time. So I'm really excited, and I hope that some of you will think about signing up for that. And I will let you know that if you want to be a part of my newsletter when I announce that, then there's a link down below to sign up. And okay, on the 21st, I'm having a live, and Orshi and Carla Astrology will be on there for another Tarot Quest. And then I am doing a Tarot Quest Halloween/Samhain style on October 5th, and that will be with Martin and Levi. So lots of fun stuff coming up, lots of fun lives, and I hope that you will join me for the fun and have a good time. It's just going to be a blast. Okay, let's jump into it. I'm going to start out with July here. Okay, so in July, I did not read tarot, and I decided not to journal. I decided not to do tarot journaling anymore. Yeah, let's just start out there because that's sort of a big thing, and I'll get into that. But if I were to describe the month of July, I would say that I was living the 10 of Pentacles and the 2 of Cups. Those were my big major players. And then I had, of course, some energies that came in during the month that kind of played with those energies. And it was very, it was a poignant month. It was kind of almost a painful month, and yet with that 10 of Pentacles, it was good in a lot of ways. So let's jump into this because it felt really big for me in July. I had become completely overwhelmed with tarot, and it had become something that I didn't like. It had become a chore, it become icky, and so I decided that I just wouldn't read unless I was really inclined to, and I did not read. I did not pick up a tarot deck. I did pick up the magical, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it, but I will show it to you and I will put it on the screen here, Oracle, which was very comforting. And I had a couple cards that I pulled out and kind of worked with that sort of spoke to me during this time. I needed to go experientially into life. I really needed to dive into being and enjoying life during July. And so that's exactly what I did. I decided to really just jump into things and have a good time. So my husband and I, we went and saw Santana. That was actually the end of June, but I thought I would just share a couple pictures from that because it was so amazing. I've actually seen Carlos Santana 3 other times before this, in conjunction with the Grateful Dead. But this was the best I've ever seen him. It was amazing. He was incredible, except for that like 90s stuff. That was a little weird. I don't really care for that era, but it was so good. He was so good. He's so amazing. And he's not getting any younger. But, you know, one of the things about becoming a legend like this is that you get to hire musicians that are phenomenal to go everywhere with you and just put on these amazing shows. And you just play your guitar the most amazing that you can. So check him out because he might not be around that much longer, but that was wonderful. And it was soul food for me. It was so amazing. In many ways, the Six of Cups was a part of this month for so many reasons. There was a dipping back into my past and really pulling forward these pieces of myself that were really alive. So this reminded me of when I was traveling for many years with the Dead, just having this sense of free flowing through life, of just doing what I wanted and feeling alive and just playing with everything around me. I had a very playful attitude. I started off the month with Oregon Country Fair, and that was amazing. Here's some little tidbits from Oregon Country Fair. If you've never been, there's really nothing like the Oregon Country Fair. It's an amazing whirlpool of personal expression and joy. It's a homecoming. That's that 10 of Pentacles. It's a homecoming. You see the same faces year after year after year. Especially, you know, we got on a crew this year. In the past, I've always worked at a food booth, but I got on a crew where I was actually greeting all the people that came to the fair as they were getting off and super excited. And it was like, welcome. And that was such a treat to see everybody excited and getting off in all their costumes and their regalia, ready to have this great time and express themselves. And again, it's that sense of family, that sense of coming home, that 10 of Pentacles. You get to see everybody after they've just had this amazing outpouring of self, like this chance to really express themselves in a way that they don't get to every day of the year. And it's too bad we don't get to express ourselves as much as we want to every day of the year. And I just want to put a little aside in here. Don't wait to wear the dress. I always say this, don't wait to wear the dress. Wear the dress to the supermarket. Wear it out to do something simple. I mean, and that's just my little phrase, but don't wait to live. Don't wait to do it. Do it now. Life is short. In line with going back to that Six of Cups, I went and saw Dark Star Orchestra, which is a Grateful Dead cover band. They are amazing. And again, it was like coming home to family. There's this incredible remembrance of myself that happened during this month. You get older, you get into the grind of life, you have to work, you have kids, you're just kind of going through all these things. And in some ways, for me, I had left behind pieces of myself that I needed to gather again so that I could return to myself in a fresh way and create something new. Yeah, it was a really, really cathartic month. We went to Lake Tahoe and saw my granddaughter, and that was, of course, wonderful. And my son-in-law. I got to see my sister-in-law and my mother-in-law. So it was just this wonderful time of family, but going to the waters of Lake Tahoe and enjoying the beauty of it, and not having my cards, not reading tarot, instead moving into other pathways of divination. And here I did some water gazing and then just kind of read the water, the sun on the water, and let it speak to me. It's like a different type of sort of scrying that I engaged in. And it was really powerful for me to plug into those elements. I'm originally from California, and in many ways I had divorced myself from California after I left at 17. And so there was something about this time that allowed me to gather up the pieces of myself that are linked to the land there, that are filled with the joy of childhood and the magic and wonder of the redwoods and even the lake, because Lake Tahoe was a part of my upbringing as well. The smells of the earth when it's hot in the summer up in Lake Tahoe, the smells of the pines, gathering pine cones and spending time with myself by the lake. I did a lot of walking during that time. And again, just coming home to myself. It's that Ten of Pentacles, that sense of my own history, and reclaiming that in a way that was very powerful and vivifying for me. It was a month of moon gazing for me. I spent a lot of time going out at night and watching the moon and being a part of her light and feeling that sense of Grandmother Moon speaking to me without words. The moon speaks without words. And stepping into that magic, there were warm evenings, so I could get out and just put my feet on the earth and be out under the moon. And it was a time of reconnecting with Hecate and having some profound moments with her, and knowing, like, the fact that she was really showing up in my life again was this sign that I was at a crossroads, that this was really a place of getting ready to cross over in a profound way. In some ways, it was an Eight of Swords month. But I've come to a strange revelation about myself, you guys, that I tend to really like the Eight of Swords. I figured out that I am a person who I will push myself to the edge in some area. I will almost grind against something, that Eight of Swords, like grinding. I will push myself so hard against some aspect of myself in order to push it out as far as I can in order to really get a sense of who I am. It's how I return to myself at my core. Does anybody else do this? So for me, my existential crisis for the month came in the form of a printer. Yes, I know this is so weird. I stopped tarot journaling. I watched a video, and you guys, I've tried to find it. I cannot. I think the name of it is Tubby Tarot. His channel is Tubby Tarot. I know that sounds weird. Tubby Tarot, Pudgy Tarot. I was watching this video about how often do you go back to your tarot journals and look at them? And I don't look at them. And I thought to myself, this is a waste of time and energy for me. Now, some of you may go back to your tarot journals, and that's great. But for me, I decided that I wanted to shift my focus away from things that I didn't feel like were allowing me to stay connected on a regular basis. Like that tarot journaling for me is a touch point where it's like touch and release, you know, that's a moment in time. But for me, it's not a thread that I pull on per se. I really was looking at equal exchange. And so I suppose maybe this month was about the Six of Pentacles as well. Looking at the exchanges in my life, I decided that what I wanted to do is I wanted to create things that I would come back to, that I'd work on, and that I would work with, that would become a part of something that I would want to dip back into over and over again. I decided to go back to my grimoires, my tarot grimoires, and my my magical grimoire. Back to my existential crisis. I never buy anything quite like that other than tarot decks, but that changed. So I researched this printer for a year, and then I decided to order it in June, and then it came in July, and I was having this existential crisis about the environment and like, oh my gosh, this is another disposable plastic thing. It's got little plastic cartridges. It's all about paper. And is there a bunch of waste? Am I killing the environment? Do I live what I preach? How do I be a good steward of the earth? You know, I mean, like, that's that Eight of Swords, like grinding on it. And I literally kept the printer in its box. Basically, I went online and I had 2 days left to return it to Amazon. I finally decided, yes, that I would keep it. Although in a perfect world, I would not use anything disposable and it would all be composted and perfectly back into the earth. That this was an area where I did want to use it in order to create lasting things that I could pass down to my children, my grimoires, and this book that I want to create for them. But it was a wonderful experience in checking in with my values and seeing like where in other areas of my life am I living my values, and do I need to switch that up in some way? And I really felt like there were areas that I was doing really well. So in this next section, you may not be interested in this, but this is my eco section that I want to talk about here. And I wanted to share just a couple thoughts and a product with you that I want to suggest that maybe you try. Okay, so plastic garbage bags. You guys, how many of you out there use plastic garbage bags, and how many a week do you put into a landfill? It's a really big deal to me. My husband mainly takes out the garbage, and he was unwilling to go to no garbage bag. That was what I wanted to do, and he was unwilling to do that. So I did find and research, and over several months, I've now used these for several months, I'm willing to recommend this product. I did find a wonderful drawstring biodegradable garbage bag that you can buy, and I have put a link to these down below in the description box. Now I know this is a double-edged sword because they are biodegradable and they are going into landfill. There's something about the methane gases from compostable things like this, but I feel that it is definitely the lesser of two evils in that I am not putting 1 or 2 plastic bags into the environment every week. I will say this, there's a caveat here. You've got to get good about not putting food waste in there, wet things. Remember, this is compostable, so if you put a bunch of water on there, it's going to compost and it's not going to hold up. The other thing I wanted to say is that Northern Hemisphere, it's about to be fall. Southern Hemisphere, it's spring. It's the time to plant trees. And I wanted to encourage you to either find an organization and contribute so that trees get planted around the world, because trees are our future, or to choose to plant a tree in your yard or someone else's yard, and if at all possible, plant something that bears fruit. But planting something in your yard that bears fruit, not only for you and future generations, but for wildlife. Which brings me to my menopause update. So you may want to fast forward to the next section if you don't want to hear about menopause. But if you are going through this or have been through it and can lend some wisdom, or you just want to kind of know a little bit about this because you're heading into it, stick around. So you may remember, if you watched my June video, that I had changed my diet radically in order to try to get my endocrine system evened out so that my hormones were running right and I could get rid of the hot flashes. I was having like 7+ a day, mostly at night. I wasn't getting any sleep. that has really dissipated. It's wonderful. I'm at this place where I am not suddenly surging and, power surging and threatening to set the world on fire. And I have really used some menopause magic within that. And I had talked about that in June. But something new has occurred, and it kind of started mid-July. And I'm wondering if this is normal. Like, I just need to know from you guys, is this normal? Because this is a big deal. This is a really big deal. I just can't, it's like I've mailed my brain out in a bag. I can't even remember what I'm doing from one room to the next sometimes. It's not all the time, but I mean, I'm having trouble with word recall, like words I've known forever. This isn't rocket science, but I'm blanking out. And I just need to know, should I go in and get myself evaluated by a medical practitioner? Is this early onset Alzheimer's? It's really kind of freaky. I'm a very fast processor, and to be in this place is very humbling and very uncomfortable. So is this normal? And am I going to come out of this? Like, if you've made it through, like, am I going to get my brain back? Or is this something that I need to adapt to? So in light of that, I wanted to share this with you. I've really been toying with menopause magic and looking at this shift in my body as an invitation to understand my personal power and my ability to direct power in a new way. And so I want to know how many of you are interested in a menopause magic video. Like, if that's something that you would find interesting, as I am just trying to pick up some techniques for really using my body, because I think this is a time of really getting back to our bodies and learning about our bodies in a new way. And so I'm really learning to direct the energies that I'm feeling in new ways and feeling much more empowered by them. So let me know if you're interested in that down below. Also, let me know if I'm going to get my brain back and if this is normal, because it's freaky. August, as July was waning, I really felt like it was clear that I was although I was in this wonderful place of personal reclamation, where I was reclaiming these aspects of childhood power and self, and that was exciting. It was exhilarating. There was an undercurrent of grief that I had. And this grief was necessary because, this is my death card year. There were these aspects of myself that were dying. Sometimes things need to die. There needs to be that they need to fall to the ground and decay, so that what they leave behind is fecundant. It's a good word, fecundant. Just teeming with biological life that can feed what's new. When things die off in ourselves, I should speak for myself. When things die off in me, I find that as they fall to the ground, I reclaim the energy that I was putting into that, and I can redirect it into growing something new. As I grabbed hold of those threads from my childhood self, I was able to reintegrate aspects of my power that I need for this holistic incarnation of self that I find myself moving into. And I'm really going to talk about this a lot in my course in October, if I have a brain to do it, in my course in October, because not only do we grab the power of our ancestors and our family line, but there are aspects of our own lineage in this lifetime that we have to weave into the tapestry of a powerful rendition of ourselves. I was so amazed at how this sense of fulfillment and generational power that I was feeling, that 10 of Pentacles, and the 2 of Cups, which was a sense of seeing myself or parts of myself eye to eye, really feeling that kismet forming between aspects of my past self and my current self, how that brought me into this just beautiful wave. Like it was the raft that carried me on the grief that there was a grieving. And so there was this sea of grief that I had been floating on, and it carried me into August, where I moved into there was definitely a turn that happened in August. How many of you felt like a real turn in August? Because it was palpable for me. So I've decided this is too long of a video to do July and August. So I guess I lied, because I'm doing this now all of a sudden now. This is going to be part 1, and part 2 will be next week. And I will do August and talk about that in more detail. I hope you'll join me there. Until then, may you have the bravery to face yourself and to allow the aspects of your past that want to reintegrate into your now be the strength that carries you forward.